Alright, so this is a class that you can download from the mod manager on Baldur's Gate. It's simple as going to your mod manager right here. You go to classes and then you're going to find the Mystic class. For this showcase, for this guy that I'm going to show you right now, you also are going to need the Mystic expansion, because if you only download Mystic class, you're not going to have all of the subclasses that you are going to have available right here with the Mystic class. So, let's have a brief description of what the Mystic is. The Mystic is a jack of all trades. The Mystic can do everything that he wants to do, because he uses the power of the mind to be able to accomplish feats that otherwise, just with pure body, you wouldn't be able to. If you want to be a warrior, a knight, you can. If you want to be a monk, you can. You want to fight without weapons, you can. If you want to be somewhat of an assassin, you can. If you want to be a mage or a sorcerer, you can. So this is a class that I like very much, because you can basically accomplish whatever that you would like to accomplish without having to multi-class. Let's talk about the assets and tools that the Mystic is going to have at hand to be able to pull all of that off. One of the most important things is going to be your psi points. Every time that you level up, you get more and more and more points. If you level up all the way to level 12, you get up to 70 psi points. Every time that you perform an action that it requires for you to cast some kind of a spell, or enhance or buff your weapons, or do martial prowess, every time that you use them, it's going to require a psychic point, a psi point, and they are restored after a long rest. So this is the elements or the tools that you have to manage with this class. Now, that being said, these guys are going to alter the psionic disciplines. We're not going to go through every single one of the psionic disciplines because as you can see, there's many of them. Just have in mind that each one of these guys are going to give you spells or feats, features that you would be able to use on combat, and they have some kind of restrictions. So for example, let's talk about Titanic Presence. This is just a regular spell, and you also have the Psychic Focus. Have in mind that you might think that because you're sustaining one Psychic Focus, you cannot use the rest of the spells. The cool thing about the Mystic class is that you can just sustain a Psychic Focus, which doesn't require concentration. This is just a permanent buff that you can always have, and you can choose at your leisure from here. So for example, we have also the Psionic Weapon. If you want to make a martial class, the Psionic Focus, the Psychic Focus that the Psionic Weapon is going to give you +1 to your attack rolls, and this is a permanent buff. Until you rest, at the very least. But for example, that means that I can, for example, have my Psionic Focus right here, and then at some later level I chose the Titanic Presence. I can use my Titanic Leap while still sustaining my Psionic Focus, my Psychic Focus on my Psychic Weapon or my Psionic Weapon. However, what you do need to have in mind is that of all of these psychic powers that you have right here, they synergize with the subclass of the class. And let's actually talk about them, because each one of these classes is what they are going to do. They are going to allow you to be what you want to do, to some extent better. Like, by all means, you can make a martial class with, for example, a melee class with the Order of the Wu Gen. But for example, the Order of the Wu Gen, this is going to be focused for somewhat of a mage. And thankfully enough, our mother right here gave us what is it that we're going to get on the levels that we get, and the passive things that we're going to get, the bonus levels. So for example, just to give an example, the Order of the Wu Gen, this is a Master of the Elements. It's going to give you at level 3 elemental attunement. The elemental attunement is going to give you, it's going to remove the resistance of a specific kind of element. Well, you're going to be able to choose an element that even that the enemy is resistant to that element, it is going to be negated. Now, you will see that some classes, for example, right here, the Order of the Blade doesn't have the disciplines that the Wu-Gen has. These disciplines are very much the same as the Psionic disciplines. However, whenever you see the disciplines right here for the Order of the Wu-Gen or the Order of the Avatar, these are things that are recommended for you to use. They synergize with the subclass. So whenever you see the disciplines right here, these are more often than not the ones that you should want to be using and the ones that you're going to synergize. What I do want for you to have in mind as well about the Psionic disciplines is that even though that there are ones that are going to be beneficial to a specific type of class, there's also ones that are going to be a little bit more general. And if you're already just sometimes there are some builds that are going to require for you to use one type of psychic prowess, and more often than not that's the only one that you're going to be using, so you have leftovers. For leftovers you can have a little bit more of a general ones, like for example the adaptive body, because the adaptive body has the adaptive shield, which is basically just making you more tankier, more durable. Or for example, you have celerity. Celerity is going to give you surge of actions. Surge of action is always useful for any type of class that you want to do in here. Now that we understand about that, let's talk about the subclasses. What is it that they do and what is it that they are going to excel on? The Order of the Avatar is somewhat of a captain. And my advice, for example, one of the psychic disciplines that you can take is the Mantle of Command. Because the Mantle of Command allows you to enhance the combat capabilities of your companions, and this is very, very useful to making a captain. This is going to synergize perfect with the Avatar. However, remember that you do have everything else in here just to give you a little extra edge. So a little bit of a fast rapid fire build. You can take the Mantle of Commands, you can also take the adaptive body, you can also take the celerity, and then you can also take something like the psionic weapon to increase the damage, and just like that you have a very, very powerful leader that is going to enhance the combat capabilities of your companions while also being very efficient in combat. The Order of the Awakened, it's a class that you can use as a base on a type of class that is going to be causing debuffs on the enemy. If you want to be using fears or paralyzed or things like that, this is a perfect class for that. The Order of the Immortal is a type of tank that it's going to benefit as much as possible from not using armor and allowing you to survive. So this is perfect, for example, a monk that you would want to be using barehanded. This is just perfect for that. The Order of the Nomad, it's not particularly specifically for this, but this is perfect for ranged character. This has huge mobility, and if you want to be using, like for example, a ranged type of weapon, this is very useful as well. If you're going to be using psychic disciplines that are going to be ranged attacks, this allows you to be moving throughout the battlefield and be able to do such a thing from a safe distance. The Order of the Soul Knife, it's kind of a flashy little thing. This is going to be an assassin. This guy has like your soul knives. These are psychic weapons that deal damage, some type of assassin. And you also have as well at level 3 the Hornblade. The Hornblade is going to spend psychic points to increase the damage of your knives. So more often than not, you already have like the martial prowess in here, but if you're going to be taking psychic disciplines right here with this guy right here, I also advise for you to take something that is going to enhance your melee damage and your weapon damage. The Order of the Wu-Gen, like I said, this is going to synergize with some type of a elemental mage. It also gives you some kind of a wizard slots as well, and since we are using our intelligence to increase our damage, this is just a perfect fit for that. My advice is that if you're going to want to be using the Wu-Gen one, then use the Wu-Gen disciplines, the elements. Like for example, you have all types of different elements right here that deal tons and tons of different damages, but also you have like for example the weather or the water or the mastery of time. There's a lot of crowd control and battlefield control in here. The Order of the Ascetic, it is going to be somewhat similar to the Immortal one. However, this doesn't focus that much on tankiness. This focuses a little bit more on damage, and this is perfect because of the traits or feats that features that you receive as a character class at level 3. You get more damage whenever you're dealing melee damage. After spending psychic points, you get psionic resonance, which increases the damage of your next attack, but also giving you healing. So yeah, this is somewhat of type of a monk that you would be using barehanded. It also comes with unarmored defense, so yeah, with this one you shouldn't be using like armor, things like that. This is one of my personal favorites. As a matter of fact, we have already posted a build for this one right here. This is focused for a martial melee class. If you want to be dealing melee damage, you want to make a knight that also has the power of the mind. The power of the mind allows him to cast spells as well. You want to make a magic type of knight. This is the one that you should be going for. This one has extra attack. It also has war adept, which increases the overall prowess that you have in combat with melee weapons. It also has the martial training. This allows you to switch your martial proficiency to the weapon of choice that you would want to be using. It also allows you to use medium armors. And finally, the ability scores. The most important thing, it is going to be intelligence, regardless as well for the melee classes. If you want to be making a melee class, there's many psychic powers to change your damage from either strength or dexterity towards intelligence. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example. If you want to be using the Order of the Soul Knife, it has the subclass feature for the Soul Knife. The Soul Knife, which is going to be mainly your main means of damage, your main weapon. This is going to scale the damage out of intelligence and the attack rolls out of intelligence instead of dexterity or strength. So your main stat in here, it's always going to be intelligence and then followed by either dexterity and constitution. Constitution is actually very important. As a matter of fact, I advise for you to have these two guys right here always at 16, because this is a class that requires lots and lots of concentration. A lot of the spells that you're going to be using for all of the type of builds, archetypes that you make with this class, they are going to require concentration. So constitution, it is very, very important. Intelligence as well, that is your main means of damage. The rest of everything you can like just allocate points to your leisure, depending on the saving throws that you prefer. But remember that there's also buffs from the psychic disciplines that you can take to increase your saving throws to different types of things. So that's actually something kind of amazing as well. Some recommendations that I advise for you to use as a psionic disciplines regardless of class. These are going to be universal. Like I said, adaptive body. This allows you to have a little bit more tankiness because this is a reaction. So whenever someone is dealing damage, elemental damage to you, you can use your reaction to be resistant to that type of damage. That's very useful. Celerity, I can't stress enough. This is just basically, a lot of people like to go into multi-classes with fighters because they have a surge of action. You have surge of action right here, as well as all of the other traits that you have right here with the surge of speed, the blurred motion, the agile defense. This is a bonus action, doesn't cost that much psychic points, but more often than not, the surge of action, it is going to be the most important thing right here. This is very useful because it provides mobility. Any type of class, regardless of build that you have, everyone requires mobility throughout the battlefield. You sometimes have to be mobile on the battlefield. There is no better mobility spell on the entirety of the game. Remember that this is a mod, so yes, this is a little bit overkill, but you can be using the Mighty Leap. The Mighty Leap can be upcasted up to 7 times, and it basically jumps into virtually anything that you can see in the map. If you can see something, you can jump towards it with the Mighty Leap. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have this as well. The Transcendent Form. There's 2 spells that you're going to be using with any class. With this guy right here, there's the Psychic Brands. This allows you to raise one single stat all the way to 19, and this doesn't require concentration. This lasts until your long rest. So for example, if you want to pop up all of your saving throws points into wisdom and charisma and want to have a little bit of a dexterity, so yeah, you can have a little bit of initiative, but you left your strength on 0, then you can use this thing to raise it to 19 just to have the saving throws for strength, or for the saving throws that you would say that are more important for you. And then you have the spectral arms. These are very useful for a melee class because they give you +1 to your weapon attack rolls, and also the carrying capacity, it is increased with this guy right here. It also gives you advantage on your strength checks and saving throws. And it also allows you to use the bonus action as a weapon basic attack. So yeah, this is very, very powerful. And also this doesn't require concentration, and this is going to be active until the long rest. So that's a quick rundown of how this class works. It is a very, very complex class. We are going to continue making builds for this class, but if you learn and understand this class, and if you want to use it, I wouldn't say that it is overpowered. It is to some extent balanced, and it's very, very fun, versatile to play. Anyways, if you like the content, I'm going to super appreciate it. And also that you're a gorgeous beautiful person, you're a gorgeous and beautiful, beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.